That's enough guitar solo for you, chat. We are here with an exceedingly hype match to close out the Saturday restreams today. We got this one going on between jeebus0 and penguin8r, 2-0 in the Magma Route. I'm Invenerable. With me on comms is Flurry14. Flurry, how are you this fine afternoon?
Great, and looking forward to this one pretty much since the day it was announced. We got two runners that I think if you asked most people who would be considered among the favorites to win, both of these runners are going to come up. So I'm really interested to see how this particular seed goes and where we see the divergence happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. penguin8r, of course, the reigning Threemus Zone champion, took first last year. Jeebus, some of the hot new blood on the scene, kind of a scholar and a prodigy when it comes to manipulating the ATB in this game. So it's great to see this new talent blossoming. You know, we see a lot of the familiar names in the tournaments. To have some new blood really striking deep and making runs, it's real fun. I like to see it. What's on the line with these two? I mentioned it's 2-0 Magma match.
Well, actually, quite a bit. The winner of this will get to go to the 3-0 play-in. The first play-in will have 4 people eliminated, 4 people qualified out of the 5 people racing. That's 80% of the people that are going to advance to the table stage. That's really cool. The second play-in is going to be probably around 15 or so racers, and out of those 3 will advance. Not quite as good odds. So if you're familiar with Zeromus Zone 2, how we kind of had the play-out match to get to top 16. The winner of this match will basically be in a play-out match, and it's a lot more comforting to have 2 chances as opposed to worrying about 1. And I'm really interested to see, considering the stakes in this particular match, if either of the racers are going to actually change up their race. penguin8r is kind of known for going a little heavy on the shopping early. I wonder if that's going to change. Would you change anything up as we get later in the tournament?
You know, it's hard to say because, again, I did get the bye. I didn't have to handle the Swiss rounds or the round robin group stage. So it's hard to say until you're in that moment and put to the sword with that decision. I don't know. You likewise made it straight to the tables. Would you have swapped anything up here if you were at this 2-0 match?
If I see a character that's going to get me through the first few checks, I think I kind of skip some of the looting. Looting in this particular flag set, you usually like to see a pretty fair amount of, just because A, there's lots of good stuff you're going to equip, but B, you need a lot of money to buy some of the good stuff underground. And the second character we get is, well, doesn't need equipment, but seeing a Palom is always super nice.
And getting that Dragoon Lance from Antlion for our starting item. Normally, early game on these flags, you'd really love to see Edge or Sid to kind of carry you through these first few fights. But honestly, for both like decent early game and great long-term grind potential, I would love to find a Kayn and Fast.
Let's save this start for the table seats, please. Let's just see this. Now, I wonder if seeing a Dragoon Spear is going to make either of the runners want to try to find Kayn and or an Edge who kind of takes the early game and crushes it under his heel. If you do that immediately, or you feel, all right, we got mages, let's just kind of go about our normal business.
I think that once we find a way underground, it may change up a bit, just because of the fact that the Dragoon Spear quadruple damage versus dragons, including yellow dragon eggs, our favorite meal when we have a stack of sirens, and Edge can fetch as many of those as we need from the alerts in Lower Babel. So I think that maybe here in the early game you don't worry about it as much, but then as soon as you find access to the underworld, change it up, get that grind going, because you can eat those eggs so quickly, especially if you throw a Zeus Gauntlet alongside it. Wow, T Wilder's loot is so nice.
And going to Watery Pass, while a staple of my personal early game routing, is paying off immediately for Jeebus simply because there's a Tella there. He's going to have exit. If he really wants to loot a little farther in, you're going to see Jeebus is going to check out like room 2, room 3. This isn't something you're going to see a runner do if they don't have early access to exit. Jeebus found Tella, so he's going to go all the way. And any chest we see Jeebus pick up, penguin8r might skip. So if we get something spicy here, it'd be kind of nice.
Yeah, crystal armor there is excellent. Whether like if you want a Cecil for your cover strats, great. If you just want to sell it for all the money in the game that you'll probably need, also great. It is a little like I would be a little tempted not to delve quite so deep and greedily here, just because between that Zeus Gauntlet and the Dragoon Spear, and then you factor in that you have Rosa and Palom, you don't need all that much gear to be Zeromus ready here.
Yeah, it's a little bit of the downside of doing your looting before finding out what characters you have and what you really want to keep and what you don't. It's one of those things where if you see something like maybe an Ogre Axe, you're like, oh, great, well, there's a bunch of characters that can equip that. I'm good to go. Haven't seen any of that here, and really what the runners just want to see is something to get them past that very first fight. Once you get that first fight down and Palom learns Ice 2, at a bare minimum, you're good to go there, barring a few root bosses. Jeebus picking up a ribbon, which is a fantastic defensive item. If we find Lolbez somewhere sitting around here, that ribbon is really going to come in handy. And you see Jeebus is going to work in a Kaipo shop check as well.
Penguin8r goes in the back door. It does not go all the way to the chest that got the crystal armor, so maybe hurting for cash a little bit, but does get the utility of that ribbon and the little bonus early game damage of that vampire. So similar looting, but we'll see if that one crystal armor ends up making a substantial difference for either racer.
Yeah, and finding Cure 2s in that Kaipo shop, that's usually one of the shops where I think a lot of runners will try to fade that visit there if at all possible. And Cure 2's one of the better items to find, tents as well, so that's pretty good to see there. I'm not too concerned about money count because a lot of the really expensive stuff is going to be underground or still a ways from there. Finding Edge and Damsian may just tell Penguin8r, all right, let's start clearing out some objectives or some key item checks here.
Yeah, if I'm Penguin8r now, I do very little looting at this point. I have the Zeus Gauntlet, slap that on Edge. He will clear the entire overworld for you. Not an awful lot to really be worried about at this point. Just gonna be smooth sailing from here on out, thanks to that really good starting loot.
And when you get two runners of this caliber, some of the things you'll see that will differentiate them is their looting patterns. Penguin8r deciding to check out that southwestern portion of the Antlion Cave is a chest that a lot of runners will sometimes decide to skip, thinking, hey, I don't have a lot of room for error. Similarly, the Charm Harp room that he's about to pass here, and even the save room, you'll see a lot of runners just go straight in there because 30 seconds when you're up against someone like these two runners can matter quite a bit.
Oh yeah, and Penguin8r has already, we mentioned he's the champ, but he's still here in the Magma Route. Blood was drawn on the champ by Baka Shinobi. We had a great runner's review of that matchup, and it goes to show you how even just minor differences and minor mistakes can cost you a race that would have otherwise been yours by the slimmest of margins. So I'm sure Penguin8r has heeded the lessons of that fight and is not going to be giving Jeebus any quarter here tonight.
Yeah, you never really want to go up against Baka against an in a jet seat because that's all you're going to get if you're racing him. See, the first boss here is a Lunar Sparkle. If we see Wyvern here, that would actually be excellent for our racers. D-Lunars, not quite so bad. One Flame Spell is going to pretty much take care of their day, and Edge can move on. Having Tella with Exit is going to be fantastic. We don't have to worry about them moving out. And let's see what key item we get here. We do have both points of entrance to the underground as an objective. So seeing a magma key here is great. But even you're not sad if this ended up being a hook seat either, because that's one thing that would be off the table of your mind. But not going to matter here because magma key.
Yeah, so now the entire seat's going to come down to where's my Zeromus access? Because with that Edge, we have a grind assured already. We can steal all the sirens we need and grind up on eggs. And, well, we have access to two other objectives already. So it's kind of come down to, do we find the hook first, or do we find our forage options first? Wide open seat here. Going to be a little reminiscent of, like, Zeromus Zone 2, where you didn't need as many checks to be able to beat the game. I'm sure that the pulse of both our runners just increased by quite a few beats per minute.
Yeah, penguin8r checking Hobbs with the solid party that he has right now. This is more or less a glorified D-miss check. Sees its Maga sisters. Very thankful you don't have to face them in a fast high magic spot. Happily reset. We'll check Mysidia characters while he's here. Rydia generally used as either Sylph or Slingshot. Cecil, on the other hand, is usually the other big decision. There are holy swords abound in these seeds. You can try to get away from them, but they're just going to show up whether you like them or not. And whether or not you want to use the power of Cecil and deal with the agility wards that come in hand is a decision that every runner has to make in every one of these seeds. But after these checks, I'd be very surprised if we didn't see at least one, if not both, head immediately underground. Probably check Feymarch and then get the discount double check with Sheila 1 in the full defense.
Yeah, the one thing that would be holding me up here before just going for eggs right here, right now to get even more power on this team is holding out hope for a cane. It wouldn't surprise me to see our racers hold off for checking Ordeals and Baron in, just in case there's a very easy cane hiding out who can use that Dragoon Spear, because, again, you can gain your levels so quickly here, and with how little you need to be ready for Zeromus here, I think waiting for 10 key items is also dubious at best.
Yeah, the offensive power of this team gets a huge spike as soon as Palom hits level 23 and learns Quake. And since, Ordeals and both Baron Inn are multiple bosses that could either be 1 or 2 shot by Palom simply there. Priority A for these runners may be to check for sirens, and to that effect, we may see both penguin8r and jeebus actually check Tomra first, just to see if there's slingshots available to just get Quake as soon as possible.
And while we're sitting here with the Magma Key cutscene, just want to give a huge shout out to the behind-the-scenes crew making the magic happen tonight. We do have Zoe Vermillion handling the restream and giving us what I think is going to be a pretty spicy seed. I love these ones where our runners get to be panicked the entire time. And also shout out to Commander Leonhardt handling the tracking. With how quickly our racers are going to be able to make checks, that will not be an easy job tonight.
Yep, this doesn't happen without the work of y'all, and we can only hope that penguin8r, being the Yang master that he is, decides to honor Zoe rolling the seed and somehow manage to back row Yang with a harp. I'm not sure how we're going to work that in, but I really want to see it.
Yeah, we have Rosa and Tella. That's not enough sources of Berserk. We need to go steal some Bacchus wines and some harps. Just let's go spend some time in Elblin Castle. Not.
We're going to get a little bit of efficiency here. We're going to check the dwarf shop, and you'll see a lot of runners have started to work in looting Dwarf Castle, especially when you have exit. Jeebus is going to check the boss and going to get some excellent information here. That is a free first boss. If you want 26k right off the bat, you have it here and now. So I think Jeebus, seeing that, may actually consider do Dwarf Castle now just to get that quick experience. penguin8r, on the other hand, is going to loot, get out, may save Scum to see the boss. Now is going to head out. That was kind of a tech I noticed Rivers like to duel in the Fabul Gauntlet, and something I'm very much a fan of.
Yeah. Now I will say that I think you may have table flags on your brain already, because there is one key thing that I think is going to keep both these racers from taking that fight.
You're right. You're right. There's that little thing called the warp glitch. You probably want to have that before going in. And as we've seen in other racers, you really don't want to bank on that experience getting you there. And in this case, having a base level, that's not going to happen. We do see Thunderclaws and Ninja Swords available for sale on penguin8r's side.
That shop giving all the big standard shop weapon teases, the things that we don't get when you switch over to S Pro. The lightsabers, the Gungnir's, and the Ninja Blades. All those, they're out of there. And Jeebus, I think, just remembered, 15 minutes ago, remembered yeah. Tella, you have to do Ordeals to get Warp. Palom, you have to get to level 29, I believe. And even with the, 26 plus another 20 XP there, you're not getting him quite to that level.
And checking the Tomra treasure stash probably just saved penguin8r and Jeebus a whole bunch of overworld shopping if they choose to get it, because there was a cursed ring in the back there, and the cursed ring is one of the most important items. You can tank any character's agility, use them as an anchor, and now all of a sudden things like a super fast wyvern and or a Cecil don't necessarily pose as much of an issue. And particularly going into seeing that before you check the Feymarch bosses, there's not many bosses that we could take on at this level, and a lot of the characters that you may try to do some cursed ring cheese with aren't here, aka Edward. But finding a cursed ring super early is really just a nice load off your mind, not having to worry about checking every single shop, because in these flags, that cursed ring can be in pretty much any armor shop in the game.
Absolutely. And it does put one notable boss on the table here. We do have Tella, who comes pre-built with Blink. So if we actually curse, say, our Palom here, we could deal with a cheeky water hag in some real gnarly places here that otherwise you'd just be scared of being punched into oblivion by. So I'm rooting for a water hag here and some cheeky curse ring plays.
Anytime you can see a base level team take out a Feymarch boss, I'm all for it. Whether it's Thunderstruck Odin, Edward hiding from a wall, all of those, please.
And we are getting the save here from penguin8r, so seems to be saying I am at least going to get my information here. Maybe, well, going shopping first, actually. Never mind.
I mean, I've seen a lot of things save scummed. Seeing that NPC in the weapon shot save scummed would be a first. But it looks like just going to check that, and then we're going to see the bosses pretty shortly.
Yeah, because there are many repeated sprite forms, so sometimes you want to disambiguate who you're dealing with, like right there. Is that Ruby? Is that Elements? Well, penguin8r doesn't actually care. He's out of here.
Had those two been reversed, this would have been ground flyer worthy Feymarch, with Evil Wall being at Leviathan is absolutely ruthless, and Ruby being at the Asura spot super fast with an excellent magic spot. That being said, this is just downgraded to really bad as opposed to viciously evil, so they're going to head on out, and penguin8r is actually not going to do any of the Sheila checks, not going to go with the discount double check. Ordeals is an objective, so get that done ASAP. You got Tella, why not?
Oh, yeah. The fact that this is one of the objectives, and the fact that it could yield the pan and save you a trip through the Sylph Cave, I would expect to see Ordeals, then Dwarf Castle, and then finally the freebies and Fabul.
It's one of those odd situations where doing the freebies can almost seem like something of a gamble, because at this point we have like a path laid out to, all right, we're going to roll over Ordeals. The first boss of Dwarf Castle is going to be free, so that's going to be 2 checks there. Where do you go from here? penguin8r finds his favorite character. Let's see if he actually keeps Yang throughout the game. I certainly hope so. We do have a Thunderclaw. And looks like Jeeves is going to take a cue from that Zoe mentioned in chat. You don't find sirens? We got an edge. Let's go ahead and steal a couple and get Palom to quake ASAP.
Yeah, first major divergence of the seed here. Jeebus saying, Edge is great and all, but I would like the rest of my team to also have a little taste of power overwhelming. penguin8r saying, no, we're good. This is all I need for now. And if you find a darkness crystal, if you find that required hook, potentially required hook, you may just find Sirens or Cell and not have to go through this entire stealing process.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of a gamble, especially if you decide to steal, I'd say, more than like 3 or 4. Because at that point, if somebody, if we get a hook and, hey, Launch the Falcon is required, we're probably going to see it at some point. Or if we see a Darkness Crystal, also something we're going to probably see pretty quickly. That's why, he doesn't actually steal that many. Hey, an Avenger, why not?
We have a Dragoon Spear and we have an Avenger. Kane and the Baron in? Anyone? Anyone, please? I never thought I'd be, clamoring for a Kane, but when the seed gives you these lemons...
Then you give Kane MP.
Yeah, pretty much.
Finding CPU at the back attack spot, this is actually one of the Nicer bosses, provided you have the offensive firepower to deal back row damage, and with Edge in here, that's not too much of an issue. May actually see. Oh, I was wondering we might actually see a dart at this point, just because I don't think we found a full moon. But hey, Ninja Sword's pretty good, so we just let that rock. You wouldn't want to see something here like Mom Bomb or something else that could be pretty ridiculous. And Jeebus does go ahead and get. One siren is not generally enough. It'll get you to 22. A second one will do, but even Virus at this point, the rest of the XP probably going to carry over, so is going to go ahead and do the discount double check.
You know, I was going to say, I think it would be really funny here if Penguin8r like threw the Dragoon Spear just to speed up the CPU fight, and while I was thinking that, Jeebus throws the Avenger at a Dragon Egg. So at least someone here is going for pure speed over efficiency.
Jeebus, having spoken with him quite a bit in our Free Enterprise After Dark general chat session, is not a fan of keeping items in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. If it can be sold, he will sell it. If it can be thrown, he will throw it. And the Avenger, I think most of us who have run Siege would hold on to that baby for dear life, regardless whether or not we even find a character who can use it. Whereas Jeebus just does not. How many sirens does the Avenger sell for? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, that's kind of funny because he didn't steal all that many, just a handful, just enough to get a. Well, doesn't even quite have Quake on the kid, only level 22. So didn't get all that much going at that point. And it is the pan on Ordeals. Penguin8r rewarded for crafty routing. Jeebus is going to hate to find that item if he even goes up there.
Yeah, that's going to be about a minute time save, basically. That's one less walk you have to do into the Sylph Cave.
Well, it's one less walk through the Sylph Cave, but it's also going to be one less visit to Fabul for Penguin8r.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, doubling up on the savings. It's double coupon day here on Mount Ordeals.
It's a BOFO, buy one get free. I don't know.
There we go.
Finding Ogo in Fabul defense is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, sure, that wave is still going to do a lot of damage, but Pala might actually one-shot with Vampire, but why even risk it when you have Edge at this level with a Ninja Sword and a Mute Dagger? Good night, goodbye. And we don't have to worry about Moon Ogo. Hooray!
And Penguin8r here showing the value of targeting those objectives. Completes objective number 3, clears it out, gets the pan. This is about as efficient as you can get. And an Earth Crystal for Jeebus. Well, we've mentioned his desire to either trash or sell as much loot as possible, but with this team, I'm wondering if you even go for that treasury. I don't think that's a priority at all for the next little while. There's so many other places that you can basically double up on key item checks.
Yeah, you know, that's a very good point. This could be the rare situation. Like, the only character we have that would really greatly benefit from the Avenger is already pretty well kitted out at the moment, and that would be Edge. He may just see the Avenger as, hey, look at all this stuff I could sell to buy more sirens. That'd be fantastic. But otherwise, yeah, I think you're right. He may not check that treasury for quite a bit. Seeing the Baron key means we've got a whole lot of objective clumps that are going to be happening. Penguin8r is going to get 3 from here. He's going to be able to get 2 from Dwarf Castle, and then he's going to go to Baron. If you really want to do Baron Castle, that's 3 checks. If you can take out the Odin spot, we're going to get a whole lot of information within the next 10 to 15 minutes.
Oh yeah, gonna be so much happening, and Jeebus is going for the treasury. Oh, do you like Avengers?
Well, since it is Avenger time, it is time for everybody's favorite game show, boys and girls. It is time to play. Rate that treasury. Let's see what kind of goods we got in this here treasury. Holy swords, over under, set it half. What do you like?
I can't do that on the spot. How about just some fine Hanzo steel? Can we get a little fine Hanzo steel?
That is kind of a low-rated treasury, if you ask me. Murasame is excellent to find, but we've already got a ninja sword, so, like, sure, 2 swords are better than 1, but otherwise, no, Gaia helmet is not terrible. I'll take more magic, but otherwise, as far as T Wildish treasuries go, that is kind of on the tame side.
Yeah, but sometimes it's not about, how much loot can you swim in. It's the utility it gives. And honestly, if I get that Murasame, I'm probably done looting the rest. Like, I don't understand why our racers are still looting, to be quite honest.
Casual protectoring on Mount Ordeals is never bad.
It's never bad, but I mean, like, so in penguin8r's case, we have good enough weaponry for Edge. Maybe we do want to buy one more Ninja Blade in his case. Jeebus, no, we're loaded. And with the addition of Yang, well, you don't really need gear for Yang. You just need levels. We gotta go.
I mean, why buy 5 Bakai when you can just buy 18? I guess that could just be the reasoning there. So penguin8r getting the single stop for Bull. Ogo, not even more than an afterthought. Will get the Baron Key, will get the Earth Crystal. Probably not going to check either of those right now when you have clumps available, especially ones that are behind free bosses that give 26k experience.
Yeah, although penguin8r didn't peak that fight like Jeebus did, so penguin8r doesn't exactly know what's down there.
That's a good point, and penguin8r also hasn't necessarily stolen a Siren and gotten a whole bunch of levels, so maybe Baron Castle becomes something that he considers doing. But man, like, if you've watched a lot of races, you've seen that Dwarf Castle is a very high priority spot, and he doesn't know that it's a free spot, but I probably want to get that done as soon as possible, just because I think my opponent will.
Jeebus here, maybe wishing he still had an Avenger to fling at this orb. Why'd I use it on the egg? There's a nice, big, juicy CPU ready to have cutlery flung into it.
I would only be mildly surprised if he unequipped his Murasame just to throw it at the CPU. I mean, I've seen crazier things happen.
Alright, and penguin8r, here's the Siren Song of Loot. Again, he could really use a second blade for his ninja here, so I feel this check, and I believe...
Great That Treasury!
Oh, maybe I didn't give this treasury quite much credit as I thought it was going to be, because when you have a Yang, anything that raises strength is actually kind of nice, and I know it's just a headband, but anything you can do to increase the efficiency of that Yang, especially when you are a certified Yang master, as penguin8r is not terrible. So maybe my 2 out of 10 initial rating might get bumped up to a 2.25.
I love seeing penguin8r buying unicorns. Like please, you're I would be shocked if we did grind. Actually, no. So we do have a Yang now who really, like you said, he likes strength gear, but he really loves levels. We do have a Tella. I wonder if penguin8r's general grind philosophy this time is gonna be to go for a big D money grind, because all of a sudden then the unicorn makes a lot more sense to me. If you're going into Zeromus fight at mid 40s without getting Holy and Nuke, you're not unicorning. You're zerking for all you're worth. So buying those unicorns might be indicating a desire to actually do a more substantial grind this season.
Well, the other reason I like to pick up unicorns, other than being the best item ever created, is that if in the event that we happen to go to the moon, and granted, a moon dive may not be in the cards here, but if you see a moon demist, you really want to have that extra, the unicorn or two, because that can be a really long fight. Otherwise, if you don't have just a whole barrage of magic spells, and one Palom's good, but RA1 Zerk is even better, and penguin8r is going to dive that Dwarf Castle, does see the free boss, probably pretty happy about that. And this might actually get him to Quake, which would be pretty nice too.
Yeah. Jeebus, meanwhile, gets the bad news of the pan, but isn't pursuing it just yet. Really wanted to get that warp spell, wanted to get over here and take care of the free boss, which Jeebus knows it's King Queen Evelyn here. But you have to be a little worried about that, basically extra minute that you're forced to burn because of that pan being where it was. Maybe your opponent didn't do Ordeals, but it is an objective, and this team would have had no trouble doing it. I think that adds a little bit of nervousness too.
Yeah, pretty much as soon as we saw Edge pop up as a character, Ordeals was very much doable. So this is just, I think, another example of Dwarf Castle being such a high demand spot that you kind of want to knock it out right away. If it happens to give you like a piece to go mode, all right, you missed maybe a minute or two here, but it's pretty valuable information. I am generally a fan of the back row Yang. And Jeebus is employing the Cursed Ring right away, so Yang's employing the Cursed Ring, he will have a very low agility, which more or less means the rest of your party and the enemies will all be as fast as possible. And when your main source of offense is zerking that Edge kitted out to the nines, then you are going to be doing just fine.
Yep. And that may come in very handy with the second fight here. A Mom Bomb at this spot. Well, the base HP here is about 3,000, but stack another 10,000 or so on that if you don't want to deal with baby bombs. And honestly, we have an edge, and with the power of Quackhead on Jeebus' side, may be able to avoid dealing with the second phase here.
Yeah, you're probably looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 13,000 damage with an RA1 Murasame Ninja Sword Edge. It's going to be pretty close, and with Edge chucking viruses as well, sure, or Edge chucking viruses, that Palom chucking viruses, we'll see. But regardless, this fight is not really going to put up any kind of an issue for our runners, and we'll see what the two key items are. At this point, having seen a pretty fair amount of checks, we're going to see whether or not there's a Darkness Crystal coming up pretty soon.
I mean, we have a lot of spots still available. Baron Inn, not been checked. Baron Castle and Basement. We have access to Tower of Zod. We have access to Keyless Tower of Babel if you're really feeling frisky. So a lot of territory still out there. And we've not seen a Luca key, so we may be kind of short-circuiting our checks here. Normally if you have a Luca key, you don't feel nervous because you know that it's in logic, whatever you're getting here, regardless. It can be kind of dangerous to chase chains from this warp glitch check that the logic otherwise doesn't really need you to go pursuing.
Well, we get the Pekaj from Luca, and I didn't quite see... Oh, well, I didn't see it because we haven't checked it yet. Second check is a crystal sword. Well, we know where... Actually, they both know where there's a Cecil. We have a cursed ring.
There's one in every seed, they say, right?
Do either of our runners consider dropping a character for the real ultimate power?
We do have a ninja... No, that was an earlier race. Okay. We don't have a ninja hat or a crystal ring, which means that we would be forced to grind that Cecil to 44, 45. But at the same time, between this edge and that Cecil alone, I feel alright with, doing like a level 44, 45 Zeromus fight. We have exceptionally good defensive gear to slap on Rosa, including that ribbon for major magic defense and evade. I like what penguin8r's doing here, unless he's just about to tease all of us.
It wouldn't be the first time, but I think if you're going to talk to the dude, it's not going to be for Iridia. And dropping Yang, there must be a tear rolling down his cheek as he does it.
You feel bad. It's like every time when I, take a Porum for one of my characters, and then she's already like level 30, and I'm like, I can't take the Rosa as well. So I feel your pain, Pengu. I feel your pain, but maybe the Crystal Venger combo will let you feel better regarding it all.
And I wonder if this is also going to make Jeebus feel a little more pensive about chucking that Avenger, because the only thing better than a Crystal Sword is a Crystal Sword with an Avenger, so you don't have to worry about casting Zerk. And
well, he won't be pensive for very long, because he gets a replacement from the fairies.
Oh, Sheila 1 was an event. I'm actually salty about that.
So, wait, no, but you're right. For this, 20 seconds of walking, he's like, oh, should have kept the Avenger, should have kept the Avenger. But wait, There's more Avengers.
Never punished. And as if we didn't get enough offensive firepower, we find a full moon in the Baron weapon shop, which means that Edge can now be back road if you so desire. May not see it right away, but if we come across a couple of nasty physical attacking bosses, it can come in handy. And also, is this even?
Well, not yet, at least. You see a Rosa here. Definitely not doing this for the character, but it is a key item check, and one that this party gets to make immensely quickly.
And the party level might be, especially on Jeebus' side, might be at the level where you can consider even checking the Odin spot if we do go to Baron Castle. Sometimes you'll see runners will actually want to do Zot first because you wind up in Baron or at Baron once it's done. So that might be something that Jeebus takes into consideration, but regardless, we do have, if not a fairly well-routed section, 2 or 3 key item checks all clumped up in one spot that either of our runners can decide to take full advantage of if they feel they can handle the Odin fight.
Yeah. You know, and if this ends up being a narrow race, I will say that neither racer here has had problems with a single fight they've encountered. Both of them have taken care of everything so cleanly, but I'm giving the early advantage to penguin8r here, just delaying that Fabul check until doing the required objective, getting that pan, shaved off just about a minute or two here, and it's giving him a little advantage over Jeebus. Even down to the fact that getting the full heal from doing Fabul means he doesn't have to take the time to heal up like Jeebus is about to.
Yeah, and that time that Jeebus spent stealing a Siren and getting Palom to Quake was kind of mitigated a bit by the fact that we had a free Dwarf Castle fights, so that, that pretty much kind of took care of that for penguin8r. Didn't have to spend the extra time going into the tower and stealing all that. Does run into a full inventory, it happens to the best of us. But otherwise, I believe we're probably going to see penguin8r check Baron Castle here, as after that and Zot, our other options are not nearly as appetizing.
Yeah. And of course, penguin8r did make it through the entire Troya Treasury without hitting the inventory boss, only a matter of time. Just, again, with how much good loot was in there, getting that extra ninja blade and not having a chance to sell it yet, it was going to land more than once, sooner or later. Anyway, hi everyone coming from RPG Limit Break. Welcome to the final 2-0 Magma Route match. Jeebus and penguin8r here going for a shot at making that first play in, and then of course having a shot at the second play in if you don't win that one. So a lot on the line today. Both racers really want that easier route into the table stage. What have we seen so far, Flurry? You want to give a quick recap for everyone?
Yeah, so the big difference in this particular race is that Mount Ordeals was an objective, and penguin8r did that right away. That gave the pan, which meant single dip Fabul was on the table. penguin8r did take advantage of it. Jeebus, on the other hand, decided to, upon getting a very early magma key, do the discount double check, which meant we had 2 trips to Fabul and 2 trips to the Sylph Castle. Sylph Castle. Well, they may think it's a castle. On the other hand, Jeebus also decided to go into the tower. We haven't found sirens for sale, so Jeebus went and stole a couple just to get that Palom up to Quake quicker. Has made up a little bit of that time based on having slightly higher levels, but otherwise that's pretty much the difference in this race. We are still missing the hook, or if we happen to be able to forge, that would be great, but we haven't seen either Legend Sword or Adamant. Darkness is still out there somewhere, and if we don't see it from either Baron's checks or Zot's, it could get a little spicy here. But otherwise, both of these runners are pretty close to each other. I'd say penguin8r might have about a minute and a half of a content lead, and that's kind of it.
Well said.
And yes, we have found our crystal sword.
penguin8r here going to be showing us who's on the throne. Gets the palette swap, gives us a nice little green Cecil. It's the Kaipo guards, easy peasy.
Well, they got tired of being guards and tried to take over the throne of Baron. Sadly, a Crystal Sword and a Ninja are going to put this attempted coup to an end. And we did see like one small difference, and when it comes to runners that are as closely matched as this, the small differences are going to be magnified. Jeebus did decide to loot those 3 chests when Penguin8r just walked right by him. So I think Penguin8r is pretty much done opening boxes. Jeebus might still want to save up for some of those sealed, gated shop goodies, but that's, you know, it's only 5 seconds or so, but every second matters in a race like this.
And we find an Edward here, still no Cane. The game has teased us with 2 Dragoon Spears, 0 Canes to wield them. This is the legendary weapon of a lost Dragoon. Where can he be found? Nobody knows. How do you feel about this team tackling that Odin Throne? You mentioned Jeebus had a few extra levels, but would you really be scared with Penguin8r's team and levels either?
My only concern with Penguin8r's team is that he's not really rocking the curse ring right now, so could run into speed issues for a particular boss. Jeebus, on the other hand, has, although he's not rocking a curse ring right now, has already shown he's got no problem, and there you go, he's looks like he might actually do that right now. So I think agility-wise, Jeebus is probably a little better equipped. I think both of these runners at least check the boss, because like the other checks, even Zot, as far as like time efficiency, isn't great. So if we don't see, you know, if we don't get something that's going to say, hey, you can check this right now, and I don't think any such item exists. Maybe the tower key, but otherwise, yeah, it's the rat tail. So you know, Penguin8r is not going to check the boss. I guess I'm wrong about that.
Quick peek. Has that Sand Ruby, I'm guessing, was maybe, again, peeking for a Cane there to round out the full melee might of this team. But resting up, this definitely implies a basement throne check.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised to. Well, I guess the one character he would have liked to see would have been a second Cecil. We could throw a curse ring on him, and Crystal Sword Cecil is RA1, and all your worries disappear. As you're all set to go for pretty much the entire seed.
Touche. We have not seen Wyvern yet, so as long as Wyvern's out there, you do have to have that little voice of caution still hanging in the back of your head.
Yeah, I think that might be the reason for the character check. Otherwise, I can't think of any other character that Penguin8r would actually take over his current party, unless like you had an early go mode and you just wanted to get rid of Palom because he's not going to do anything in the Z fight. But we ain't there yet, so let's go ahead and see who this boss is here, and whether or not Penguin8r is going to decide to take it on.
Well, we do have a Sparkle, and behind that Sparkle is Plague. Very, very free here. Again, Penguin8r has slowed down his anchor properly. You have a couple of choices here, and it looks like he's going to go with the, well, you have 3 main choices for Plague. You can either do relative agility shenanigans and just be acting so fast that the count timer can never wear out. You can knock a character down and bring them back up to get Plague to reset the count. And then you can do reflex strats, which usually reserved for places where you don't have enough damage to kill in a reasonable time frame. That Sid is doing double damage thanks to the full moon. We have enough damage to kill in a reasonable time frame.
Yeah, if you're RA1, I think the strategy here is just berserk your RA1 characters and put your controller down. I don't think Penguin8r put the curse ring on Cecil, which is why you're seeing him knock down and res Cecil just to reflect the count. But he probably won't have to do that more than 2 or 3 times because, yeah, that full moon is going to trigger double damage, and 4K a hit per edge. This fight is not going to take very long.
And that Cecil is cursed because that's the only way that Palom ever gets first turn in this fight. Quack Kid is slow. Yeah. Rose Edition out 3K as well. You love to see it.
I mean, if there's a handbook on turn order that doesn't involve the curse ring, let me know, because it always seems like every once in a while a mage will get their turn when I never expect it. But yep, Plague is down. Extra 7 levels for Cecil, which, I mean, more Crystal Sword levels. Hey, that's always a good thing. The key item is a white shirt. It's great defense for Rosa,
I undoubtedly walk that out. This is a team that I'm looking at fighting Zeromus at relatively low levels, and that white shirt ribbon protect ring combo on Rosa means she's not dying to any single big bang ever. It's just not happening when you have that loadout on her.
It's a tough one. I almost feel like ribbon and protect ring and pretty much anything else is going to be enough to get the job done. But I mean, you cannot blame anybody for walking out a white shirt. White shirt's really good, and Jeebus loves selling them. So we'll see. I think Jeebus might actually reset out of this. We'll see.
Yeah, jeebus does. I like the keep as well. I like it for a lot of reasons. Also, just if you are going in at relatively low levels and you don't have a ton of MP, that's enough power to Rosa's Cure 3s to probably full heal, 3 party members together. I like the keep, but we're getting more divergence here. Penguin8r going for Zot. Jeebus looks to be a keyless tower enthusiast. I know which of these I like a little better.
Yeah, we definitely have differing opinions on these two checks. I'm not a fan of keyless tower, but this is definitely a play that can swing which way, especially if you're going to do keyless tower knowing that Zot's on the table. You're probably looking at putting off Zot for quite a bit, and if it turns out that Zot has nothing and you just don't do it, that's a good 4 to 5 minutes that you've saved, and that's a big deal. On the other hand, conversely, if Zot happens to have something, especially if it happens to have the tower key, that could give Penguin8r a big edge. Neither of these bosses are probably going to give our runners that much of an issue. This happens to be arguably my notoriously most disliked Wyvern location as far as the top of the tower, because it has a lot of HP, but not enough magic to do a lot of damage on its Mega Nuke, and it's still fast. But I don't think any boss is really going to pose that much of a challenge.
Well, and even if Wyvern is here, our Rosas have Artemis arrows and Artemis bows. I welcome a Wyvern fight with a team that these racers are rocking.
Okay, Nazo up here, not too big of an issue. The wave is going to do damage based on 4% of his max HP. You're looking at roughly, I want to say 24,000, so this is not going to be an insignificant wave. But I think at a high enough level, especially if Edge is going to be rocking Thunderclaw once the wave's up, that's kind of giving you the idea that Jeebus has no intention whatsoever of nerfing these waves and is just going to go right through.
And we do see our first quad 9 of the seed, thanks to Cecil swinging that crystal sword into the Holy Weak Dark Elf. You change, and then you die. Not very long.
Me picked the wrong spot to be in here. And let's see, this wave is going to do... Yeah! Okay, Rosa's going to survive it, so no issue whatsoever. Had Rosa not survived, then you'd probably be relying on Jeebus and his clever naming scheme of trying to trick you with the character names. Sid/Yang would have to chuck some potions, but otherwise, no issue here. And hey, there's our Dragoon.
Yeah, I wonder if Penguin8r is willing to swap anyone here. Honestly, the Tella at this point is kind of on the cutting board for me if I'm anchoring with Cecil anyway. I mean, it does drop you down to... Well, we have an Avenger. So,
Penguin8r has 2, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, no, the other Avenger was from a trap chest in Zot's.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, there goes the Tella. Keep that ribbon. I don't think we're going to see Unicorn strats. I think this is going to be Zerk, Zerk, Zerk all the way home. But what a beefy team here. I just love the sheer brutality.
Yeah, and there's our Wyvern. But I think our team is plenty fast enough. We get the Star Veil up. The magic here is very high, so this one Mega Nuke reflected is almost certainly going to do the job. And good reflexes sometimes when you're not set to Wyvern standard time, you don't realize, oh geez, there's a Wyvern, I got Mega Nuked. And no, Penguin8r keeps a clear head, gets the Star Veil up, and gets through.
Yeah, that Rosa rocking that Artemis bow, giving her lovely stat bonuses to agility. Even though that Cecil has gained quite a few levels, Rosa there, speedy enough to get the action off. You love to see it.
It looks like Keyless Tower, was that a Legend Sword from the top of the tower?
I think we are all looking at Wyvern. I think we're gonna have to hit that. Okay, chat's got us covered. Legend Sword, so half of a forge, but oh, and now I'm looking at that. Then what's over here?
Wyverns distracts us even when we're not playing.
Okay, so that's the hook.
Yeah,
but
that-
we don't have a way to get to Zeromus.
Oh, that's kind of a big deal because Jeebus, by virtue of doing Keyless Tower, is almost telling you, I don't like doing Zot, and the longer he puts off Zot, that could be a problem. He's gonna get. I mean, we're running out of chests.
That's the real problem right there. Jeebus's last hope there was Jeebus had to hope to get Zeromus access and the adamant from these two Feymarch fights, but even that at this point, with how long these fights are going to take, will not be enough. Penguin8r is in full go mode now, Rattail becoming Darkness Crystal, and not just that, but if he does this launch the Falcon first, he's going to have 10 key items for his grind to boot. Penguin8r is in firm control of this seed going forward. Jeebus needs a miracle in the Feymarch and needs something terrible to happen to Penguin8r on that hook route.
Yeah, I think the only nice thing, and by nice I mean not absolutely terrible, would be if he had seen Darkness, Fading Zot may mean that he would just go and full clear the entire moon, which would probably get him the adamant, but also is so much more time that it might have been a problem. If he gets through these Feymarch bosses quickly, he's going to be decent behind, but he wouldn't be like 10 minutes behind. On the other hand, these are not fun bosses, and these are not fast bosses, and he's not rocking Dragoon Spear, Cane, Crystal Sword, Cecil. So, yeah, this is Penguin8r is definitely in the driver's seat here.
Yeah, and these are also fights where, well, the Ruby or Elements fight, not necessarily. If it's Elements, you really want a Cecil here to cover everyone. This fight, you really want a Cecil to cover everyone. This evil is going to be too fast and too brutal. I think Jeebus is going to really regret this Feymarch play very soon, even without knowing what we know, that Go mode lies through Zod. Jeebus is just going to be suffering immensely trying to get through these fights.
Yep, it's too wall, too furious, and even if he happens to get through or manage to keep the party up, and we see that's not the case, is going to take a reset. Penguin8r is pretty much just, well, I thought he was just checking to see for those tier 5 items, finds Bacchus wines. That's absolutely fantastic. Doesn't need a whole bunch of it with an Avenger, but hey, it's always a good thing to find. May check the character here, and after that, I suspect we will see. I like the idea of doing your grind first, because I mean you're not going to actually get anything that's going to benefit you from doing the Falcon.
Yeah, you do. You get the crystal, and that's a 10th key item.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, then in that case, yeah, you absolutely do hook immediately.
Yeah, the one thing I would have really wanted to see here, or even on the hook route, I would love to see a second Cecil. Not for anchoring. I would level that Cecil up as well. We have an Avenger and a Crystal Sword. Start one with a Crystal Sword, give him the Avenger, you now have a Crystal Sword for your second Cecil. 2 Crystal Sword Cecils, Ninja Murasame Edge, and Dragoon Spear Cane. Also, I would even Quint. We got Rosa with Artemis Bow and Arrows. This is a Quint Zerk opportunity if I ever saw one. Let's see another Cecil on the hook route.
Oh, where's my 55,000 channel points? This if there was ever a team that would give you the idea of Quint, for sure, I would love to see it, but I don't think we're actually going to. But yeah, that is a massive amount of firepower. Usually, on a lot of seeds, you would say, well, RA1 with 2 strong weapons is usually better than RA2 with 3 strong weapons. In this case, we're just looking at all kinds of damage. So yeah, if we happen to see a second Cecil, that Cecil may actually just get some levels. On the other hand, he may just totally be happy with what he's got here. Hourglass is nice to find in case we run into something that is a little time consuming in the faster spots. But yeah, I think Penguin8r is just going to run right through this hook spot, get that crystal for 10 key items. Did we see a siren at all in either of these shops? I don't think we did.
Yeah, I don't think so, but the really convenient thing about taking this route for Penguin8r is that as soon as he gets out of the tower, he can just land the airship, go in and steal as many as he wants, and if he gets them from that first floor chest, it will be a second Avenger. Take Cecil.
That's right. And there's our second Cecil. Let's see what happens. We know that the Ruby boss is elements. That may also be a pretty humorous fight with a crystal sword in hand. And does Penguin8r take the Cecil?
I'm sitting here just absolutely cheesing my... come on. You know you wanna.
Has he heard of second Cecil?
Yes! Yes, he has! Bye, Palom. You did good.
Yeah.
And Jeebus getting the bad news, finding the spoon for fighting that evil wall. Yeah, we now know in the booth that is basically the death knell. No matter what Jeebus finds here, it cannot give him go mode without going through Tower of Zod.
Yeah.
Well, wait. Tower Key with a D-Mist or Twin Harp with a D-Mist. Apologies. We've not seen D-Mist yet. D-Mist is now the only other out, so to speak.
The scenarios that would require Jeebus to be able to catch up in a time fashion are very remote and wait, there's elements. I'm wrong. So that is vanilla Rubicon. All right. Pretty. I don't. Would you rather see Ruby or would you rather see elements in this Leviathan spot?
Well, if I had Penguin8r's team, I would very much prefer elements here because of our Lord and Savior Crystal Sword. Here, I don't know. Elements may still be better. I don't know. I just don't like anything in this spot. It's the Leviathan spot. It's rude. I hate it.
Speaking of spots I hate, there's the King Queen Evelyn spot, and there is the Mist. Ooh. Well, I mean, if you're Penguin8r, you're thrilled to see D-Mist here, not because you're really needing that key item, but because it means your opponent hasn't squeaked out a D-Mist somewhere else to try to catch up with you.
Yeah. So that seals the deal. Jeebus is going to give us some fun information. Maybe we'll see a Twin Harp here, and we'll get to find some good tunes or something. But Penguin8r has one Fiend of Fire to go through, a minor grind. You could go to this, well, okay, we have to get a Cecil to 44 or 45. Otherwise, well, actually, I think you still have to level up 2 Cecils here. You can do the Avenger glitch and get a second Crystal Sword online. I would definitely go to level 44, 45 and then go. Although if you're feeling cheeky, this is a team, if any, that in our match in Football Gauntlet, I think I took a team like this at roughly level 41. You took one at like level 37, 38. This is a team that can pull that off at the Z fight if you're feeling frisky. But I don't know if I'm quite ready to make that kind of risk.
Yeah, it also kind of lends the idea of maybe Jeebus knowing that he just did Fey March. It didn't pay off. He's going to... The only spot left now is going to check Zot and get his Darkness Crystal. He may just try to go in and not grind whatsoever and go immediately into the Z fight, relying on... you'll have enough party members at 1200 HP. Hopefully you don't get a lot of edge counter nukes and you go from and don't even grind whatsoever. And let's not talk about the Football Gauntlet semifinals.
I love that match. I think it's really a great watch. Not because I beat you, but because we both did relatively low level strats in a tournament that had a lot of really high leveled teams go to Zeromus. And I thought that was a really cool thing that we did inadvertently. So
it is a skill set that you could absolutely see pay off in either of these flag sets when you run into early go mode and you find yourself with no Darkness Crystal, a pass, and a level 20 party. What is your plan there? Not really applying here as Penguin8r, at least as far as equipment goes, has everything you've ever wanted, and he's not going to give it back. I mean, he's overflowing with power, and this will get him his crystal right here, and is gonna likely start a grind. Do you have, without sirens, do you consider doing a D money here?
But you don't D-money because you have no weak source. You could consider Mac Giant, but even Mac Giant is a little awkward. You have a Dragoon Spear, and you have Crystal Sword Cecil. You have about 8 different ways of cooking these eggs. Get ready to make a whole bunch of omelets.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only downside I'd say to doing eggs is you'd feel a little bad stealing sirens, but fortunately for Penguin8r, he's checked every shop where they can be, so he knows that there's not any other option in this case, so he's not like sweating the decision.
And being at 10 key items, you feel really good about having delayed it until this point.
Right, and we have, since we didn't see a super early Darkness Crystal, at least it was behind a chain that you're not necessarily incentivized to do it early. You're not worried about your opponent possibly doing a super early slingshot, being ahead of you there. So yeah, I think eggs are the way to go, but I do like to see an unorthodox grind in any situation, and maybe I hope for it a little too much.
Yeah, I mean, Penguin8r did buy that hourglass, so there is a chance that he does go for something like trying to get a bunch of life glitches off on a double dragon fight on the moon. That would slingshot Kane into extreme strength. So maybe he doesn't go eggs here. Maybe he just steals a few and then does like a warlock fight and a gold dragon fight while walking the moon. Would that be cheeky enough for your pleasure tonight?
I think that's about as good as we're going to get, considering the situation here. You'll notice he is keeping Kane down, so that kind of lends the theory of we want to get as much of a slingshot as we can, therefore get the highest experience in one shot that we can. So it kind of makes you think. And also, I mean, 68k is great and all, but I mean, if you can get 180k and steal 3 or 4 less sirens, it's not too bad. Granted, at this rate, stealing, isn't exactly slow, especially if your name is Anadale. But if you see a whole bunch of fails, he doesn't have a full inventory, does he?
He did not. I was about to mention that. Penguin8r did a very clever thing here. When he opened the southwest chest, the glass hat put him at full inventory. Penguin8r has no use for a glass hat. It gives you no magic defense or evade. But he used the item swap menu for having a full inventory to throw away. He took the hat and threw away 5 other items, freeing up enough inventory space for the sirens here.
This edge is batting just over the Mendoza line right now, having a very poor steal rate. Has a lot of HP. One of my favorite things to come of these particular flags is to accidentally see somebody who goes into this tower immediately after doing like a Fey March check or a Sylph Cave check, and they go and steal with 1 HP, and they die from the steal damage. He died doing what he loved.
So Jeebus here, about to get the news of the hook. Gonna turn in the rat tail in all likelihood and get that darkness crystal, and we'll know the exact situation that he's in at this point. Gonna still have an amazing finish time, especially for having done Keyless Tower and those Fey March fights, but definitely has to be feeling it at this point.
Yeah, if you full cleared Earth with all these key items at the hour mark, you're on a pretty good pace. But I think he kind of has an idea of the situation that he's in, having done those Fey March bosses, and they don't pay off. So
Penguin8r, meanwhile, gets the good news of we've heard of first Cecil and second Cecil. We've had first Avenger and second Avenger. I wonder if he's like, why can't I have a third Cecil? Let me get triple crystal swords going on here.
These Avengers are assembling in his inventory, and it's going to result in a very powerful party that you don't have to worry about casting Berserk on. And in fact, we just have to. Chances are, we're going to have the one Bacchus on edge, and that's pretty much it.
I am a little sad here to see Rosa removing the Artemis bow. Just quint, Peng. You don't need to just get to level 44 and quint. It's what the people want.
I would love to see it, but given the stakes, it's a pretty big ask at this point. But yeah, let's see how far these eggs decide to get the Rosa. I think the key we're looking at here would be her HPs. She's certainly going to get to Cure 4. She's not pulling.
I mean, he did. Penguin8r walked that white robe out of the Baron basement. So he doesn't even need a lot of levels on her. I think the determining factor here is solely the the Cecil agility. I think you just got to get 44, 45 to hit agility 28, and we're gone. I think that's the only thing that Penguin8r is waiting for here.
Yeah, pretty much. And thankfully, Rosa learns Cure 4 at that level. She is not Purim, therefore she does not learn her good spells in level 80. No, it's not level 80, but it's quite a bit. So yeah, I think as soon as we get to that magic 28 spot, we just go. I don't think we have any agility raising items to try to maybe cut that a little short and maybe exploit the really good defense on Rosa. But at the same time, do you really want to take that chance? It's a little bit of a risk, and why incur any sort of risk when you have a party like this?
Yeah, and I think we may have one. Actually, no. It looks like he stole the exact number he needed. I was worried we wouldn't quite hit the agility mark, in which case maybe we do pop one of those while walking the moon. But clearly not going to be necessary this time. That 2 levels is what we needed.
That would be such a bad feel walking in at 27. Like, how do I get this one fight? And y'all know whenever you need that fast, quick fight at the on the moon, that's when Dr. Luge shows up in the ribbon spot, and you're just like, well, fine.
Sees the 43 on the anchor. Cecil needs one more, or yeah, you got to get the one more. You want them both to be above 28. Otherwise, one, you're kind of hosing regardless, even if you do put Zeromus at the right number. So that will be all the grind we need. Exact number of sirens to get that middle one just above the threshold. And I saw PK mention in chat that Penguin8r's not peaked the D-Mist. Be really funny if the pass is lurking there, but we won't be finding that out tonight.
Yeah, Moonwalk is roughly 2 minutes. You're probably spending about 30 seconds or so flying, checking, going out in airship time. So it would be a cheeky home run pass for sure. I don't think it's going to catch up Jeebus if he decides to check it and pull the pass. And yeah, down the moon we go. I don't think we'll see any bosses here. I don't think we'll see a saveless Zeromus, as much as I'd love to see it. And yeah, head on down.
Yeah, saveless Zeromus is a fun swag strat, but that's more for when you're rocking like a team that got slingshotted on D monies and is in the 60s. Here, we're going with the bare minimum here for the double Cecil setup. So that's not a risk I'd be taking either. I don't think Penguin8r is going to have any difficulties with the fight, but also we did mention that first blood that was drawn on him by Baka, and the only thing that cost him was a Z fight that just went off the rails because of the smallest of things. So I don't think he's going to risk that this time, especially with how clean his run through this entire seed has been start to finish. Beat every boss he's challenged first try, didn't do a grind until hitting 10 key items, has double Cecil, Crystal Sword, Avenger. I think Penguin8r has to be feeling really, really good heading down to the Zeromus fight.
I think one reason why I'd want to see the Demus check, and it's a completely selfish reason, because I think it would be pretty funny if Demus had the Adamant and you had a objective blocked behind the last other objective you had to do. So Falcon, the hook route was required on a Magma Key speed, whether you like it or not. That would be kind of funny, but I don't think we're going to see Jeebus check this. And Penguin8r making his way to the save room, and I think pretty soon we're going to be doing the walk to the Z fight.
Yep, there's the save. Rearranging the team in a fashion here. That edge should get the first turn, and then it'll be either bottom Cecil or Kane who gets second turn. And basically the goal here is to get both your Crystal Vengers going as quickly as possible. You just want to carve up the Z fight. I kind of want to put a timer on the Z fight itself. I'm going to pay attention to when we actually get the fade in, because I think this is going to be one of the fastest we've seen that does not include a skip.
Yeah, this could be a sub 2-minute Z fight for sure, and I don't think Edge, even at this level, is going to be fast enough to actually beat RA1 when compared to the Agility 28 Cecil. So yeah, Edge should go first, and that's going to be either the Kane or the higher priority Cecil. I don't think Kane's Agility is high enough to or it is high enough, and I think he'll be going second. And I think we have a question that we like to ask right on time.
Yeah, I was gonna warn chat. No, don't take a nap, because if you even blink, you could miss this fight. Flurry, whose butt is Penguin8r going to throw into a wood chipper this afternoon?
Well, we've seen Rivers miss already, so there is a certain other finalist who I would definitely like to see appear in a tournament seed.
Dusty Griff? Yeah, let's see the Dusty Griff sprite. That sounds like a good one. Nah. It is an honor to be slain by racers in any match, but it's not me. Did you say it's Final Fantasy V, Ninja Debugger? Well, you are correct. We got some Ned here today.
Well, and I really do love that boss music too. Yeah, so Avengers are assembling in the inventory. There's Crystal Sword 1. Kane's going to put on another one. Rosa's going to Silk Web. Doesn't really need it as long as this is nerfed. Could pretty much get away with a Zeus Rage, and I think he'd just be fine. Cecil 2 gets the Crystal Sword, uses the Bacchus, Edge will Bacchus, and then after that Cure 4, Penguin8r might be able to just put his controller down.
I really hope he puts the Artemis bow back on Rosa. Like, I'm really hoping that we close out these 2-0 Magma matches with a proper Quincer.
Look at this damage. Good grief.
Crystal Swords! They're good.
I mean, wow, okay. 2.8 is actually a little lower than I might have expected. But yeah, this is still, there's the Cure 4, and now the question is, do we actually see a second Big Bang?
I wonder if the damage on that didn't properly update. I'm a little confused myself. He didn't leave the Cursed Ring on that Cecil, did he?
The other option would be whether or not he actually back row glitched that Cecil.
Oh, I could have sworn I saw him put a bow and arrow. That must have been the other one. He back row glitched one of them, but this is a definite damage disparity. I'm wondering the difference here.
Well, sadly, that being a little lower lowers our chances of seeing a Quint. And I don't think he's rocking a Curse Ring on him, so.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. Well, either way, it's not much to worry about. It's not going to be quite as fast as the kill, but this is still nothing to panic over. Tons of damage coming out. We're going to skip the second Big Bang. We're probably going to go directly into rocks as well, or we may see like a shake and then a crumble. Ned's already dead, baby. Ned's already dead.
One of the Zeromus sprites. I always find it weird when you get the Z sprite that actually comes close to the party square. It's like Edge's like, you're getting a little too close, man.
Yeah, no second Big Bang. Rocks are falling. Everyone's still going to have above 1,000 HP. There's the flash. GG's out for Penguin8r, making it to the first of the Magma Route play-in matches. Only has to be top 4. Don't be last. Don't be last. And he'll be making it back to table to continue defending his Zeromus throne. Oh, he's so cute.
There you go. He's walking his way to the first play-in match. Yeah, this is very nicely done. No surprise from the Zeromus Zone 2 champ that you get a super clean fight here, and yeah, any win against a player of the caliber of Jeebus is great, and Yeah, very nicely done.
And while we're waiting on penguin8r to join us, just to clarify, he will be joining Zyrak, Infinius, Zilch, and Starman in that first play-in race. So that's going to be a big one. Pay attention. Hopefully we'll have an actual announcement for those instead of you just having to check the calendar. These play-in matches are going to be hype. With that sound, we are joined by penguin8r. GG's, Pengu.
Thank you.
I think the most important question everyone is wondering is, why didn't you quint Zerk?
It's not something I do often. I think it's probably slower. I think, honestly, even Berserking Kane was probably slower than just leaving him, because he was only doing, like, less than 2,000 per hit. And compared to a Crystal Sword, that's not a whole lot, and it's just taking up animation time.
Yeah.
I noticed there's some confusion. I did actually have a Cursed Ring and a Drain Sword on the Anchor Cecil. So he was a little bit weaker, but I did have Relative Agility 1 and everyone else because of that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was wondering whether you'd done Agility 28 with the full power and had not back row glitched. That explains it completely. Thanks for clarifying that. So you're in the play-in race number 1. You have to just not be last of those 5. What is your game plan going into the play-in race?
I haven't thought about it too much yet. Didn't want to get ahead of myself before this match. But it's, 4 out of 5 I have to make, so not too worried about that. Feel like it's pretty good chances one way or the other.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how sad was it to drop the Yang for the Crystal Sword Cecil?
He'll probably be mad at me, but I've ended my friendship with Yang, at least for these flags. I think this was the longest I've had a Yang on these flags, actually. I almost never take him. I didn't have anyone else, so he was just sitting there.
Yeah, the loot is so good, and just to be able to find a good weapon for anyone whose power comes from weaponry, I feel ya. Maybe he'll have a nice resurgence at the table stage amongst all the people there, and hopefully you'll be there as well. I think I hit the high notes of the stuff I was curious about. Do you have any other questions, Flori?
No, that's pretty much it. I think this was there at any point in time were you considering checking the freebies over maybe Dwarf Castle or Mount Ordeals makes sense being objective, but one of the main differing factors was that Jeebs actually did the discount double check right away, whereas you did not. Was there any point in time where you considering maybe doing like Dwarf Castle earlier than you did?
I think I still did it fairly early. Ordeals was the objective, as you mentioned, so I wanted to go there as soon as I could. So I think I checked Baymarch and then went to Ordeals. I was kind of hoping for a Siren to make Ordeals a little bit faster, but there weren't any. I didn't feel like stealing yet. So once Ordeals had the pan, I think, turn in the pan, do Pagul for 4 key items. That's hard to pass up, even for Dwarf Castle. And I think Dwarf Castle after that, it was pretty high on my priority as well.
Cool. Well, I mean, that's pretty much wraps up anything I wanted to ask. Do you have any last feelings or thoughts on this particular seed before we let you go?
I mean, overall, it may seem fairly straightforward of a seed, but, playing it, I was thinking, if Jeebus plays Overworld, if he skips Baron Castle, then I probably lose, and if he does the same route, then it's going to be super tight, and me walking out that white shirt from the basement of Baron Castle didn't feel great in that regard. So it may have looked smooth, but it did not feel that good.
Definitely had a little bit of a discussion as to whether or not to walk the white shirt out. Jeebus actually did not. Awesome. Well, congratulations. We will totally be looking forward to seeing you in the first play-in match, and hopefully only the first play-in match. And yeah, good luck on your next race.
Thanks, and GG to Jeebus.
Alright, so it looks like Jeebus is getting ready for his Z fight. Didn't quite get a look at his, there we go, levels around mid-40s or so that sounds about right. It's going to be Cursed Ring on Tella, so entire party will be RA1. Might see a little more nukes than you would have seen on penguin8r because why nuke what is not going to appear? And he didn't even see a second Big Bang. So it'll be a little tighter, but I think Jeebus has this on lock.
Yeah, and chat noting in the spoiler log that demist item was the adamant. So if you wanted to forge, you had to launch the Falcon. The only way to do 3 objectives here without doing ordeals... Well, no, because you had to do ordeals to get the pan, to get the Earth Crystal was Sheila's second item, right?
Right.
Wow.
Or one, I think.
Oh, Sheila 1, okay. I'm trying to think, if you fade ordeals, can you still beat the seed?
You would have to do Sheila 1. If Jeebus had not done ordeals and went straight to Zot, he actually forges and doesn't do ordeals.
Yeah. So there is one really weird route through the seed that would not require... that would let you do 3 of the 4 instead of 4 of the 4 that way. So...
I mean, doing Zot over an objective ordeals is definitely the boldest of moves. Whether or not it's paid off in the long run, I'm not sure.
Yeah. So Jeebus here, also a very cozy team. Gonna be flipping right over to this Avenger Blade. Folks who are relatively new to Free Enterprise, note there, do not execute an action after you flip to the Avenger, or you will have slightly weaker attack power if you already had a power weapon. If you don't have a good weapon, then quickly take a fight command, take a defend command, make it update to the strength of the Avenger there, and he'll be rolling very soon.
Yeah, a lot of times you'll see a lot of runners will actually wait for the transformation before making that switch, just to kind of be safe. It is kind of rude sometimes if the mimic glitch does not cooperate and you get a double crystal usage. It's only happened to me once, but it can happen.
Yeah, no, and Jeebus, highly skilled. I think he won't have any problems with this fight, but I will note that his team is a lot more marginal for this fight than penguin8r's was. Just having all of those crystals or Cecils with their huge HP totals. Here, highest HP on a single character is that Kane at the top named Cecil. And a full-powered Big Bang can basically wipe that out if we have one of the 2700 max damage ones. So, going to be very tricky here. Probably going to see most Big Bangs nerfed. But again, Jeebus is an ATB master, and I think he'll be just fine.
Especially having reset out of the white shirt, so you go from good defense to excellent defense if you happen to have that. Watching Jeebus in the Z fight it has kind of made me might see the strategy here of throwing on a Star Veil on Rosa before nerfing the Big Bang, just to make sure that she doesn't get the counter nuke, which is something I've tried to work in on table flags here and there. But it's actually, watching Jeebs take on the Z fight is very informative if you're looking to study like super minute details that can save you a little bit of time.
I do like to see the Star Veil and the Tier 3 spells coming out. We may not have had the time to grind all the way to nuke, but we definitely aren't going to let this quack kid sit around doing nothing during the fight. You gotta contribute, kid. All hands on deck here if we're going in at the mid-40s.
Yeah, RA1 with 5k around is right around the line of getting a tip before you see the first Big Bang. And Jeebs is one of the runners I've seen that is confident enough to see the shake and just be like, oh, I know damage is going to tip, so I'll just keep doing my thing. And that lit 3 is probably enough to push over, and you can see he's getting a few extra attacks in.
Yeah. Holding this turn with Tella, going to wait for another shake, and then we'll time a nerf at the appropriate moment. I thought you needed to... Oh, okay. Good. That Kane did take an action. Okay. Then Ned's action will happen right before Tella throws this. So that should have nerfed correctly.
Yeah, it is possible to do it too early and have the nerf not come out.
Yeah. The big 3 damage from the firebomb.
And one nice detail you can catch from Jeeb's Z fight is he's managing to get both the trigger for the counter nuke and the cure 4 off before the big bang happens. I'm sure we've all had a bunch of Z fights where we just do the nuke and we accept that other character is gone. And Jeebus has such mastery over this fight that he can get the cure off reliably.
Order matters so much here. If you've ever had a situation where, you know, a character leapfrog another one of your own characters, you realize there's a little more to unpack here.
And there's Black Hole. We're probably looking at a direct nuke next if we don't tip to Meteor immediately. Kane does not necessarily care about that Black Hole. He'll take one slightly less damage and then continue berserking on. And there's the direct nuke on Kane, which is probably about as good as we could see. We're close enough to tipping that Jeebus is actually going to just chuck the spoon, get the 10k here. Not even going to worry about healing up. And it looks like we have rocks.
We do have rocks, but we also have an edge all by himself. But we also have quite a lot of cutlery.
I kind of want to see the Avenger chuck just to stay consistent. Oh, all right. So this kind of has to do it here.
If this doesn't do it, we need a dodge. Oh, that is so rough. Just the way the timing on that transition from phase 2 to the Meteo phase, not giving Jeebus a chance to heal up. Even if he had queued up a cure spell, I don't think it beats the punch there. Maybe instead of the spoon, a quick cure 2. No, even that. That's just rude. That's garbage. Mulligan, chat.
I think a cure 2 on Rosa instead of the spoon allows Rosa to get the cure 4 off, and then you're fine. But yeah, it's sometimes that transition is just going to get you, and it's also one of those things where something that happens earlier in the siege just comes back to get you. If Jeebs had not done the Feymarch fights and doesn't necessarily think that he's behind. Now, granted, by now he's seen the dot done, but he's maybe more may consider just getting more levels and play a little more safe and have the HP, because Rosa was only about 100 HP short of surviving that meteor.
Yeah, but the setup was so nice. Just a little bad roll and a little bad timing there. If that nuke had not hit Kane, that fight's over.
That's right, because Kane would have survived second one and would have stayed Zerg and would have gotten 4 attacks off. So yeah. Hitting Kane wasn't the best thing.
This is all your fault, Flurry. Quit directing the board face AI. It doesn't need your help.
Just say it definitely does not need my help.
Well, while Jeebus is going back into the breach, we'll go ahead and give y'all a heads up on the races coming up tomorrow. This is the final restreamed race of the day. What's the final race of the day in general? Tomorrow at 2 o'clock Eastern on Free Enterprise, we have Classy Badger versus Carrot, playing for a little bit of pride there. Neither one will be advancing, but you still want to take a win, and you still want to show your stuff, so tune in, cheer them on. At 3 o'clock Eastern, over on one of our Randomania partners, will be Marty56 versus Vampstar. Oh, I'm about to be corrected by Scala Kitty. Oh, okay. There may be something tonight. Who knows? I'm just reading what's on the schedule, okay? Tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern on Randomania, Marty56 versus Vampstar, both trying to go to 2-1 to make it to a play-in match. And then tomorrow at 8 o'clock Eastern on RPG Limit Break, in a 2-0 match in the hook route, LaFloof versus Commander Leonhardt, each one wanting to get 2 shots at play-ins instead of just 1. Make sure you tune in for that match tomorrow evening as well.
Yeah, but is there a marathon run tonight? Or something to that end, I think?
Scala is saying in the chat that there may be a submission for Fleet Fatales that may be being recorded tonight on the channel. So keep an eye out for that. If you see Free Enterprise go live, let's cheer on the fem-leading speedrunners of our community and hope that they get us into the big stage on the Games Done Quick channel.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to all the matches that are going on, and tomorrow as well. I know a lot of us like to congregate in general chat and talk about the matches. Feel free to join us there. And yeah, this whole tournament has really just been a good time, and mad respect to people who may have been eliminated but still want to get out there and play for pride and show their stuff. Whole lot of respect for that, and just showing like a lot of dedication toward the game, and it's really nice to see.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the flip side of that, all the respect to all the runners, but there's also a ton to be excited for going forward. Very soon, these play-ins are already going to be hype as all heck, but then we're entering the table stage. You're going to see a lot of familiar names who we've not gotten to see race since that opening group stage come out on a harder flag set, show their skills, the menuing, the new strats coming out of nowhere for weird grinds. Siren's going to be a rarity. Like, so much variety, and I'm really excited to see the teams that people favor. Who do you like to roll with when you're forced into a perma-join flag set? So it's going to be a really great September and October of racing as well. Don't hold your breath.
Yeah, if you enjoyed watching runners regret their character decisions because of CVI, boy, have we got something for you if you want cool flags. And yeah, you're going to get to see a whole lot of runners. And in fact, there's going to be even one runner who is going to come down from his tower and grace us with his presence. How are you feeling about the table flags?
I love them because I have no idea what I'm doing. I will say that on, for instance, the full gauntlet flags, I got settled into a routine. It was a routine that worked, but I felt that a lot of the decisions I made, none of them forced me into a long-term situation as long as that rescue flag was on. And having a limited character pool also meant, well, whichever 7 characters I'm dealing with, my opponent's also dealing with. So, okay, Palom, just don't play out in the thunderstorm, child. You always hate it when your Star Bell wears off. But yeah, I love the flag set. It's throwing everyone for a loop. Everyone feels bad making decisions. And I think that's beautiful.
Anytime you can get racers who have been running this for so long and put them in a situation where they are not feeling comfortable is a very good thing. I mean, I distinctly remember when we were trying out these settings and we're both like, we have no idea what we're doing in the early game. And that's a really good thing, and it makes you excited that even, 1,000 races later, there are still settings and game modes and flags that are going to throw even the most experienced runners for a loop. Stuff like, do you prioritize early checks? Do you want to do the same kind of looting when the loot's not going to be that great? Do you value cover a whole lot more than you care about agility? These are all questions that you have to ask yourself, and you have to ask them immediately. And it's going to be very cool. I'm totally looking forward to it. They are some of the most entertaining flags I've run in quite some time.
We do have rocks falling again here on Jeebus' side, over 2,000 HP on the melee fighters. Oh, now you can dodge edge. Now edge leg, dodge medium. Where was that 5 minutes ago when we needed you, edge? Oh, you know what would have helped there? A ninja shirt. But that's a crumble. Get your GGs out in chat for Jeebus, bringing it home on the second try. Going in at, again, lower levels than we see a lot of people do, and still getting that win on the rebound.
Yeah, super nicely done. This could have any race that has these kinds of stakes is going to be particularly stressful. And when you're going up against a runner of quality and caliber of penguin8r, you don't want to beat yourself at the character select screen, right? And both these runners absolutely nailed this seed and did a fantastic job. And I believe we are joined by Jeebus right now. GG's.
Thank you.
So the big sticking point this match was choosing to forgo Zot. Is that a strategy that you usually like to do because of the speed, but then to also commit to Feymarch? What was going through your mind with your routing, not in the early game, but more at the mid game when you really had a lot of options open to you?
Well, I basically had a choice between Baron or Zot. I chose Baron, and that turned out to not be the play. So I decided, okay, well, if this isn't it, then, and if it was Zot, I might be really behind at this point. So better start gambling. Let's go do Keyless Tower. Let's go do Fey March. If I'm fading Zot for this song, I'm just gonna keep fading it. Unfortunately, it, well, had everything, basically.
Did at any point in time it cross your mind to decide to go into Mysidia and grab Crystal Sword Cecil?
Eh, not really.
Just wanted to keep the RA1?
Pretty much. I can do a lot of things with RA1 that I can't really do with Cecil. I did have a cursed ring, to be fair, so I could have, you know, just anchored him, but then I would have a character that doesn't really do anything, and it's just kind of there. So I didn't.
Cecil at the Zeromus fight, who entered with a Drain Sword and Cursed Ring on, and was still doing more damage than Kane while Zerked. So I don't know if this says more about Cecil or more about Kane, but it's definitely a
No, that's
curiosity.
more about Kane. Kane is, he doesn't have really great strength stat. He kind of trades it for agility, but unfortunately for damage you need twice as much agility to get a multiplier compared to your strength. So Kane is solid. He's not fantastic, but he's solid.
Well, regardless of... Oh, go ahead, Flurry.
I was just going to comment, it was pretty entertaining to see no regrets on you chucking the Avenger and then hashtag never punished. Hey, look, there's a second one from the Sylph. That was pretty generous of them. And was there any second thought? I know we love to meme in general chat about selling white shirts for Sirens, but with the party that you were kind of rocking, anticipating, you know, a lower level Z fight, was there any thought to walking out the white shirt of the Odin spot?
Well, at that point I knew my Baron play was a dud, so I kind of just wanted to save what little time I could, so I reset out of that one. Totally would have sold it for Sirens, never did find them in shops. Were they in Hummingway or anything like that?
No, they weren't for sale anywhere. We got that 10% landing on the seed.
Well, there you go.
Well, you did go 2-1, so you get to go into the second play-in, which will still have 3 players advancing. Are you going to change up your strategy at all, not being in a 1v1 match? Are you going to be extra gambly? Do you think that your normal route will be enough to get you top 3? Do you have any thoughts on that part of the format and what you're going to do in light of it?
My plan has always been make as many checks as possible, as fast as possible, don't stop for any reason. So if Zod comes up, I'm still probably going to fade that unless I get it from the moon or something like that.
Gotcha. Well, Jeebus, I think we'll give you the final thoughts on this seed tonight. Any other thoughts about how things went?
Not really. I think I played pretty well, all things considered. It's just that the checks didn't really go my way. I had a pretty satisfying elements fight, in my opinion. My Rubicant fight was pretty alright. I'm pretty satisfied with my boss execution at the very least, and hopefully I'll just get a little bit more lucky next time.
Awesome. Well, you absolutely hammered this seed. Like it was just, you know, Zot happened to have the go mode. You guys were pretty much neck and neck as far as clear content. So, you know, nothing to be ashamed of running that seed. You definitely did a very good job. And yeah, appreciate you guys putting on a show. Well done.
Thank you very much. I want to give a shout out to our restream team. We have Flurry and Venerable on comms. We have Zoe Vermilion on restream, and Commander Leon Hard is tracking tonight. Thanks for all the hard work you put into this tournament.
Awesome. Yeah, this does not happen without all the hard work of all the people restreaming the matches and tracking. Like, you guys make commentating on stuff like this super fun, and it's really just an extension of us hanging out in general chat. And it's just I get to be a little more focused about it. So there you go. Great. So, yeah, I think we'll go ahead and start to wrap this up pretty soon. We're going to be heading over to Randomania 2. Be sure to keep an eye on the Discord for future matches, and we'll have a whole bunch tomorrow. We hope to see you guys then.
Yeah, have a good night, everyone. Come back here for doing that Fleet Fatales, Frost Fatales. You know, the thing tonight. If that submission video is being recorded, come out, cheer the racers on. Otherwise, enjoy a little of our sibling randomizer Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide on our sibling network, Randomania 2. Have a good night, everyone.